everyone, my name is Michaela Greenlee. I'm a senior business student at IUPUC studying finance and management, and this is my personal ethical perspectives video. A major focus that I would like to discuss in regards to business ethics is management. I'm currently in an online course that studies the teachings proposed by W. Edwards Deming, who was a knowledgeable business advisor, consultant, author, and teacher. A lot of his teachings discuss the importance of management and how proficient management can make a company very successful and how poor management can make that company suffer. So this is why I chose management as an important area of focus for business ethics. Without knowledgeable and proficient management, the company is actually doomed from the start. And we've seen a lot of the destruction that management can cause in the recent events of Wells Fargo, where corruption causes the management team to take actions that wouldn't have been taken otherwise. So Chapter 7 in our text actually discusses the principle of management and ethics in regards to behavior and management. So basically what this says is management wants to be ethical, they want to lead those, and they want those people that they're leading to be ethical, so their practices must adhere to these standards. So corruption comes from incentives that are used to motivate managers, and this causes them to behave unethically. So sound management and executive leadership provides the foundation for an ethically operating company. So I believe that it is important that ethics start from the top. Also, another area that I'd like to discuss is being socially responsible. The point that I made in my initial debate is that profit making is not the only socially responsible area for a business to pursue. It is also important for that company to reach out externally and try to benefit the company. We see this a lot with Cummins in our community, and so I believe that socially responsible actions are not required of organization. However, they are the result of an executive decision to give back to the community. So I believe they are equally as important as a sound ethical management. I believe that the first challenge of businesses is money or compensation when it comes to behaving ethically or practicing ethically sound principles. Because money symbolizes power, performance, and status, it fosters kind of a relativistic view that justifies unethical behaviors associated with succumbing to the greed associated with this. Because relativism is at the source here, it's challenging for organizations to combat individual behaviors that derive from the pursuit of compensation. Additionally, Chapter 10 in our Managing Business Ethics book discusses conflicts of interest, which is my second point. We saw this specifically with Arthur Andersen offering consulting services that were contradictory to their practices as being an honest accounting firm. So this type of unethical behavior is appealing because it offers mutual benefits to organizations. However, that doesn't make it ethical just because there are benefits associated with it. A third challenge that I would like to discuss would be the treatment of employees. This means not only treating them with respect and dignity, but also ensuring their safety on the job. From a production standpoint, many businesses try to save money by reducing their labor expenditures, exporting production efforts, weakening their working conditions, etc. A lot of these cases can be noted with some of our big industries, such as Nike sweatshops in Taiwan. Yes, these practices save company money in the short term, but they're highly dehumanizing and unethical, and it's challenging to combat these because of the money-saving efforts that derive from them. A final point that I'd like to discuss is advertising. We've talked about this a lot in our class, and we're hoping that organizations are responsible, but since they're trying to convey their products and services in the best light possible, they sometimes omit or minimize the associated issues with their products and services. So this is unethical and challenging to combat as well. I believe that creating an ethical business culture is a process including 4 steps. First, you need to establish the business culture, and then hire people that fit that culture. After they're hired, you need to train those people to align with the culture, and then create the right motives for great performance. We had a guest presentation by Matt Souza, and he discusses the importance of establishing an ethical business culture. This functions as a set of ethical guidelines for behavior and conducting business. Next, once the code is created, it is important to hire the right employees that can fit within the business culture. If they're not a good fit for the company, then they're not going to perform well in the company. So once the right people are hired for the job, it is also important to train them appropriately to fit within the culture. After this, I believe it's important to motivate employees, but not through incentivizing the cutthroat competition designed for personal gain and creating winners and losers. I believe the focus of employees should be on best serving the consumers and not on increasing personal power, so these training efforts must be specific. As discussed in my ethical perspectives paper, I recognize that I'm only one person, and as one person I have a significant power of influence that I can use or abuse. Within my philosophy, I believe that going back to the basics and leading through example is a great way to foster reputable self and ethical practices within others. I've been called gullible or easy to deceive because I believe that there's good in everyone, and that can surface through the right environment and leadership. Perhaps these principles seem elementary, but I believe that going to the basics and using the fundamentals are timeless. However, I do also recognize that there are bad apples, as the text identifies them, and these are the people that are determined to profit at others' expenses, and they'll do whatever they can to do this. So within my own philosophy, I want to make sure that I instill minimal tolerance for these unethical behaviors. I will not tolerate dirty business moves and ethically unsound principles, and I will not be ignorant if these are ever occurring. The last point that I want to make is that my grandfather always told me that it takes a lifetime to build a good reputation and only a second to destroy it. I believe that this principle is very applicable, and I want to establish my leadership as being morally sound and upholding a very rigid standard of ethics.